mocking smiles, until she fell into her seat with a half-sob and closed her eyes, feeling defiled and dirty and weak. People the length of the car were eating. Papers rattled, tin tinkled, and into the stuffy heat came the strong smell of peanut butter. Elsa's stomach rolled, and she gritted her teeth. She was resolving to do a half-dozen desperate things rather than go back in that women's room, when the train began to slow. The wheels pounded in a gradually lessening tempo, and the conductor poked his head in the door. "Sioux Falls," he said. Her lunchbox under her arm and her telescope in her hand, Elsa followed the crowding passengers out to the step. Her stomach was still queasy. She felt that her face must be green with nausea, and the station platform was strange and busy, but she clenched her mind around the thought of a rest, a stop. On a bench up under the protecting eaves of the station, she sat the full hour of the stopover, letting her stomach gradually settle and her muscles relax. After a long time, she opened her shoebox and tentatively nibbled a sandwich. It made her feel better, and she ate another, then a little square of cheese, then a piece of cake. By the time her train was ready, she could face the prospect of another 300 miles. Afterward, she found that the train no longer made her ill. Through the long, hot afternoon, she sat and watched the immediate trackside flowing straight as a river backward, the horizon revolving in a slow circle. There were few trees now. Somewhere, while she had been sick, they had come to some sort of dividing line. Farms were more scattered, the buildings unpainted, and either ramshackle or staringly new. There were no hills, only a wide, bare, green-gold plain, pasture and unthrifty-looking cornfields. Once in a while they came to creeks or rivers flowing turgidly in sandy beds between strips of dusty cottonwoods. Mile after mile, hour after hour, past sod shanties with weeds growing green on their roofs, past unpainted shacks and ragged sheds, past windmills and discouraged plantings of saplings, past fields of wheat still meadow-green in the heat, past flocks of crows that flapped heavily off the wires as the train roared by, past herds of nondescript cattle with cowbirds sitting on their hip bones. The sun went down redly behind a ridge of scattered buttes, throwing into black relief the broken skyline and flushing a low range of hills beyond. Elsa ate from her lunchbox, watching the light die and the dark come up out of the ground. When they stopped at a town, the elevators loomed high and angular against the darkening sky, and the spout of a water tank outside the window was like the upraised trunk of a huge elephant. A little later, when it was black as a wall outside, the porter came in and lighted the kerosene lamps at the ends of the car. The girl leaned her head against the dark reflecting glass and watched the strange, unknown, lonely country flow past like a banner of darkness, starred with tiny, ephemeral lights. After a while she slept, and when she woke, they were in Fargo. There was a half-hour stop, and she got up to walk on the platform. On her second round through the group of workmen and trucks and strolling passengers, a man lifted his straw hat and smiled, and she stopped in surprise, thinking he must be someone she knew. But he was a total stranger, and the half-bow he made, the uplifted hat, the smirk on his face, put her to flight. She went in and sat down in the station restaurant and ordered a cup of coffee. After the momentary glad shock of thinking she had met an acquaintance, the depression of utter strangeness was on her again, accentuated by the flaring yellow lamps, the tired movements of the waitress, the midnight lackluster actions of the people sitting there, the dusty last year's calendar on the side wall telling her that it was December 24th, 1904. She looked at the smoke-grimed hands and faces of the trainmen eating at the counter, the withered pies and bare, hard stools, and through the door at the yellow benches of the waiting room, and the sense of being alone, friendless, in a desolate land, rose in her like a sickness, so that she gulped her coffee and went out to the friendlier activity of the platform. The oppressive darkness crowded in from the far side of the tracks, pushing against the platform lights and the clustered yellow panes of the town. When at last the train started...